Hello, my name is Lieutenant Kevin Shabbat. Thank you for joining me today in this virtual tour. I'll explain some deficiencies that make our building obsolete. Construction was completed of this building in 1969. The building itself is 47 years old. This building's first use was for the town hall. The police department occupied 3 rooms with 3 full-time officers and 6 auxiliary officers. The valuation of the town in 1969 to 2015 in today's dollars shows a real growth of 3,092%. The town of Wells was assessed at $24 million in 1969 and is assessed at over $3 billion in 2015. The police department took control of the entire building when the town hall moved its current operations in 1988. Today, the population is about 10,000 year-round residents and 50,000 with the seasonal influx. Wells has had an exponential growth in its service industry, mainly hotels and seasonal cottages. Additionally, we've had an increase in call volume from transit stops from the train station and bus stops. The public entrance to the police department is accessible around the back of the building, which has historically been confusing to patrons. We see a pattern of citizens going to the front door of the police department to make a complaint or wanting to speak with an officer. Overall, the building is 5,100 square feet. The minimum recommended space is 250 square feet per employee. We are just over 100 square feet per employee with full-time officers. In part-time officers, we fall short around 80 square feet per employee during the busy summer months. The agencies used in our study, we found the average police department had around 300 square feet per employee. We took data from Kittery, York, Ogunquit, Sanford, Kennebunk, Berwick, Old Orchard Beach, Waterville, and Falmouth police departments. Our analysis also showed that Wells Town Hall has 331 square feet per employee. Our building does not have a sprinkler system, which falls short of current code. Our department has 2 parking spots dedicated for public use and insufficient space for the employees and cruisers. We use a private parking lot in the summer months for employees. We have a small lobby for the patrons that come in and see us. We often have sex offenders and probationers checking in, with people coming into our lobby to drop off prescription medication or to make a complaint. This tangle of services provided has sex offenders and the general public awkwardly mingling while they wait for an officer to come in and off the road. The lobby is the only public area of the building. All other aspects of the police department are unsecure to each other, and therefore someone would need an escort or security clearance to come into the building. This includes a lack of public bathrooms. The seating capacity of those waiting for an officer or waiting for a friend or relative to bail or to come in for an interview is 2. This doesn't meet our existing needs. The public lobby is neither heated nor cooled. In the winter months, an electronic heater is placed into the lobby to avoid temperatures reaching freezing levels. We have no place in this lobby to interview someone and have to bring them into the police department. This is against CALEA best practices. We staff 2 and on special occasion 3 dispatchers that serve both Wells and Ogunquit, which we are contracted with. The center is grossly inadequate for the services they provide and was built as an expansion to the fire department in 1986. Because it was added as an expansion, it has standalone electric heat, which is inadequate for the winter months. Additionally, the electric hookup trips because of the amount of computers and alarm monitoring systems needed to run a modern dispatch center. In the winter months, we use extension cords from patrol that lead into dispatch to heat the center. There are obvious code and safety violations that are visible. However, this center must be maintained 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Again, because it was not part of a main police building, we continuously fight a mice infestation problem, as we need the lobby doors open in the summer months, or a greenhouse effect ensues. This is one of the original rooms of the police department. Currently, 15 officers and the animal control officer use this room as their office to do reports and work on investigations. This doesn't include reserve officers needing to do reports in the summer months. This room also doubles as a place to interview subjects. Officers keep police literature and resources in their respective one drawer of their filing cabinet. This is grossly inadequate for the specialization most officers have in their chosen field. We use this room as the ready room and store AEDs that are stored ready for use. We have a cabinet for drug test kits and equipment less frequently used. Additionally, all report mailboxes and department forms are kept in this room. This is the office of the supervisor. All sergeants or on-duty supervisors use this office. This room is the formal interview room for the department and used frequently. The on-duty sergeant is routinely kicked out of this office to do an interview. We use this room to house spare radios and sensitive equipment such as cameras, thermal imager, and it serves as the armory for the police department. We also use this room as a secondary room for prisoners because we have the capability to record this room. All juveniles are separated by sight and sound according to state law and are hence kept from adult prisoners here. Any multiple arrest incident, this room will likely serve as the alternate room if the subject is cooperative. This room serves as our briefing room and our break room. Officers eat lunch here, and this room is where overtime, training, and pass-on information is kept. We try to limit civilian entrance because we post confidential intelligence information for pass-on. However, this room can and is used as an alternative interview location. Additionally, we use this room as our photocopy room, our mailbox for training, payroll, time off, and general employment issues are here. The locker room is off the break room. We have a unisex locker room that serves both male and female officers. The lockers are 10 inches wide and 18 inches deep. We cannot fit our issued equipment into these lockers. Duty bags are kept in this room along with lockers for additional 10 reserve officers. There simply is not enough space here for officers to move around and change. Evidence lockers are kept here for temporary storage of up to 3 weeks. Foul-smelling evidence, such as marijuana, permeates into officers' uniforms when kept for any length of time. Unfortunately, evidence lockers directly adjacent to personnel lockers is not consistent with accepted police practices. But our past location for evidence lockers in the hallway was an OSHA violation and had to be moved. We simply had no place else to put the evidence lockers. We do not have enough temporary evidence storage. Once a locker is used, it cannot be reused until it's emptied. Officers cannot gain access to a locker after it's been used to maintain chain of custody. The locker room also serves some IT functions as our 911 system and server run through this room. This is the old town meeting room, converted into a meeting and training area. We use this area to house our reserve officers and bicycles, vehicle supplies, and equipment. We store all animal control cages and large tools here. Additionally, we have closets that are stuffed with ordered forms or office supplies, honor guard gear, ammunition for firearms, and relevant equipment. We use this space for special events to gather and has served as an emergency operations center during major incidences, such as hurricanes and floods. We use this room to store large pieces of evidence that do not have the ability to store in temporary lockers, such as bicycles and construction equipment, or fireworks. This is our booking room. We partitioned part of the meeting room to make the booking room. There are serious safety concerns that stem from this room when caring for a prisoner. Non-cooperative prisoners have attempted suicide, attempted escape, urinated, and defecated in this room. Often, when a prisoner tries to fight, the prisoner area is difficult to negotiate and falls significantly short of generally accepted police practices for booking room. We can only safely have one prisoner at a time, which doesn't meet our current needs. This room is also used weekly by the probation officer as his office to meet, test, and otherwise check his probationers. The stairs do not conform to current code and are a tripping hazard because of the narrow footing. We do not have an elevator, which is non-compliant with the American Disabilities Act, ADA. Handicapped patrons cannot meet with the chief or others in their respective office. This is the second floor of the police department. Our administrative wing is on the right side. The criminal investigative wing is on the left side. The floor has one bathroom. Evidence in a case that has been to trial must be maintained for 45 days after conviction, or 45 days after a prisoner is released from prison. When an investigation is not closed, the evidence must be kept according to the statute of limitations, unless the crime is a sexual assault which evidence is kept indefinitely. This leads to a substantial amount of evidence collected since the department's inception that has led to no standing room in the vault. Despite being a fire and walking hazard, the elaborate efforts of the police department to keep a log of evidence has been tested by the overwhelming amount of evidence stuffed into this vault. A makeshift fuming chamber was added and is used to retrieve prints from seized property. No other evidence is processed here. Other evidence is typically processed wherever there's a free table open. Detectives must make sensitive and confidential interviews of crime victims and suspects in the patrol sergeant's office when available, rather than having a separate area. Bringing a subject upstairs to their office is virtually impossible. There is no space to process evidence or lay out evidence for complex cases. The area to work is small, and there's no storage space for vital equipment and supplies. There are obvious safety and code violations with the existing setup, not to mention the noise that comes from these computer systems are loud and unsafe as detectives are using the same office space to house a computer system. The building was built well before computers and never designed to house computers or support the amount of power used at a modern-day police department. We've used makeshift solutions that are not viable as a long-term solution. This is where the detective sergeant is housed. It also serves as a makeshift evidence storage room. The space has also been used in the past as a conference room for the detectives to meet and review cases. Currently, there are no conference rooms in the police department. Meetings are done huddled around the lunch table or done off-site. Because this room has the ability to lock, we use this room to store sensitive equipment that the detectives use. There are lockers here for the administration to keep their jackets and uniforms. These are the same lockers as the locker room, however, there isn't enough space in the locker room for administration and detectives. Uniform gear such as duty belts, handcuffs, radio cases, summer reserve uniforms, and gear are kept in filing cabinets. Dispatch polo shirts and jackets are also kept here. When an employee decides to leave us, they must return all gear and clothing. This is typically reissued when feasible. Duty jackets, to include dress uniforms and good bulletproof vests, are kept and reissued. There's a small area for the overflow from the quartermaster's closet. Here we keep uniform pants and shirts, ties, and most jackets. We outfit many of our reserve officers and some full-time officers with this serviceable equipment. All issued equipment is returned after leaving the police department. The first office is the administrative lieutenant. He supervises all special services and is in charge of court, training, the dispatch center, and a collection of tasks and assigned committees. The administrative area is used by the court secretary that handles all court-related discovery and legal processing and records. The chief secretary is also here. She does payroll, billing, and handles the business side of the department. Record storage is a major deficiency at our department. Records are stored throughout the building and off-site at the Old Wells Post Office. Space for the secretaries to work is small given the vast amount of paperwork that needs to be sorted and organized. The floor has carpet over concrete, and that concrete has started to break apart, leaving divots and an uneven plane. This is the only bathroom on the second floor. It also serves as a kitchenette to store food, first aid for the department, and also serves for paperwork storage for crash reports greater than 2 years old. The bathroom is where all miscellaneous supplies are kept. Because we simply do not have the room, many functions of the police department have to be done off-site. We store old cases, training records, and personnel records like timesheets in the old post office. We are mandated by state law to retain these records. The organization of such records is insufficient because we must put records wherever there is space open. Evidence storage for a motor vehicle that is recovered, whether it was previously stolen, involved in a fatal crash, or needed to be recovered to be processed for evidence, is currently stored well off-site from the police department and falls short of accepted police practices for evidence storage. Thank you for joining me today in this virtual tour. We hope to have your support this election season for construction of a new, modern-day public safety complex that will serve the needs of our community well into the future.